we have stored city and status was the previous non-key relationship. So I have created a table T21 where I have kept city as one of the attribute and status as the other attribute, and data is filled up accordingly. And here who is left out? SID, city and status is left out. Why did I leave these? Ultimately, each attribute has to belong to any one of the decomposed table. So here status is added to this table. Why did I add status here? Because see, SI we have to preserve dependency. That was a previous, yes. So city and status are left here, and SID city is added to this table. Why did we add this SID city to this table? Because SID to city was a dependency. Now, ultimately, when we decomposed T2 into T21 and T22, then we are getting two FDs. The two FDs are city to status and SID to city. These two FDs, when I again apply some axiom on these two FDs, I will get SID to status. So we are not losing the SID to status FD. However, the non-key relationship that existed in the T2 relation is not present here. Here in this T21 table, city is the candidate key. So this is it is not non-key relationship. So it is in 3NF. Why it is in 3NF? Because there is no non-key relationship. The left-hand side is a candidate key. Directly we have got it here. And it is also in 2NF, since if it is in 3NF, then it will obviously be in 2NF. And if it is in 2NF, then it will be obviously be in 1NF. Hence, the relation is in 3NF. Now, what about T22? T22, we have a single FD called SID to city. SID is a candidate key of this relation. And so it is in 3NF. No non-key relationships are there in this table T22. Since it is in 3NF, it is also in 2NF and 1NF. Here, now after converting to 3NF, we have to check whether two things. One is dependency is preserved. Just now I told you that dependency is preserved. All the dependencies that we have in the original table are there, either directly present or by applying axioms. Now, second point was the dependency must be lossless. Yes, it is a lossless decomposition, because how did I understand? The common attribute of the two between the two tables, that is city, is a candidate key of at least one of the relation, and here it is a candidate key of the T21 table. Yes. Now am I audible? Just tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone of you? Oh. Next. Now the point is, why did I convert it into 3NF? What is the reason of converting it to 3NF? The reason was, in the previous table, we found that T2, it was converted. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
One minute. This desktop has. Oh, again I have to join. No internet. Right? Just 1 minute, students. Actually, I log in from two devices, and one of the devices. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's continue. Again, I have to block the post. Otherwise, I won't show. Okay, let's start again. Now, what I was trying to say is, what was the problem here in the T2 table? In the T2 table, the problem was the status of Kolkata was repeated many times. Since SIT city status was kept in the same table and it was not in 3NF, it was converted to 2NF. This T2 table is in 2NF, isn't it? If a table is in 2NF, even when a table is in 2NF, I just saw that there are a lot of redundancy. What was the redundancy? The redundancy was the status of city was repeated every time. So if there are 1,000 suppliers staying in Kolkata city, then the status of Kolkata K1, K1, K1 was repeated many times. Even if 1,000 suppliers are there who stays in Dhanbad, then Dhanbad's status will be repeated. That was redundancy, because from the very first row, I understood that the status of Kolkata was K1. But still everywhere I'm going on repeating it is K1, K1, K1. So that was unnecessary. I was storing data in my tables. So, and since there is redundancy, so a lot of problems and anomalies would occur, isn't it? So we tried to convert this table into higher normal form. What was that higher normal form? Immediate higher normal form was 3NF. So we converted the table to 3NF. Now you can find out that in the 3NF converted table, we have T21 and T22, which are in 3NF. T21 also has city and status. So Kolkata K1 is only repeated, and only it is written once, and whatever cities are there, their status is only inserted once, and I don't have any foundation of inserting it multiple times in the table, since I have decomposed the table. Okay. Next, in T22 also, I don't have any. Okay, T22 also I don't have any problem, because SID and city, S1 stays in Kolkata, maybe S2 also stays in Kolkata, but this is not an unnecessary information. It is there. It is facts. It is the reality that both the suppliers stays in Kolkata. So I have to repeat it. So don't say that this one is a Kolkata is a redundancy. No, it is not redundancy. If I remove any one record, then I might use the information where the other supplier stays. Clear? Now, here, tell me T1. What about T1? Is T1, which table was T1? This one, SID, PID quantity. And what was the FD present? SID, PID quantity. Now, T1 is T1 in 3NF. It is in 2NF. We had converted we had decomposed T to T1 and T2, where T1 was this table. Now, T1, is it in 3NF or not? It was in 2NF. We saw whether it is in 3NF or not. Tell me. T1 table.
Yes, ma'am.
It is in 3NF. Why it is in 3NF? Because
There is no transitivity.
there is no transitivity.
And
No,
there
ma'am,
is no
because-
inconsistent data.
That's why it's in 3NF.
No, ma'am, because there's a functional dependency SID PID to quantity, and SID PID is key here.
Candidate key here, and there
Yes,
is
ma'am.
no non-key relationship. Since there is no non-key relationship, so a non-key attribute transitively dependent on the candidate key is not there. This will be your complete answer. What will be your answer? There can be multiple FDs present in T1. Here in this example, you have only one. There can be multiple FDs. You will say, since there is no non-key relationship, so therefore there will be no non-key depending transitively on the candidate key. Since it won't happen, so the relation is also in 3NF. So this T1 table is also in 3NF. Clear? Now I will say, what is BCNF? Boys, chord,
Excuse me, ma'am.
normal for boys.
Hello? Ma'am, someone is waiting, ma'am. Can you please let them in?
Someone is waiting. So what is this Boyce Codd normal form? Boyce Codd is a scientist. We have Codd's rule. But the very first day I said that RDBMS follows Codd's rule. There are lots of rules. One by one, we will study that security, then the recovery management. Then these are one of the, there's no tuples can be there in a RDBMS relation. A relation will follow our relational model. So these are the rules. Whatever we are studying, all these falls under RDBMS rules. Whatever we are studying, that there should be less redundant data. These are all rules under for a database to be to follow the relational DBMS properties. Now, this scientist Codd, his full name was Boyce Codd, B-O-Y-C-E, Codd, normal form. So we say it is BCNF, BCNF. What does BCNF say? BCNF says that the only a relation to be in BCNF, it has to be in 3NF. A relation is in BCNF. If it is already in 3NF, and the only determinant present in the table or in the relation should be a candidate key. So what did I say? A relation is in BCNF. A relation is in BCNF if it is already in 3NF and the only determinant present in your relation, is a candidate key. Clear?
Please repeat once.
A relation is in BCNF if it is already in 3NF, and the only determinant present in the relation should be a candidate key. Copy laptop pore jabe. The only determinant present in the relation should be a candidate key. Written? Everybody has written? So, what is the meaning of this? What does BCNF? What is BCNF saying? It is saying that there can be more than one FD in your relation, no problem. But whatever FDs are present in each and every FD, the left-hand side should be a candidate key. Clear? whatever FDs are present in your relation, there can be multiple FDs, but in each and every FD, such FDs, the left-hand side, who is the left-hand side? The determinant, and the determinant must always be the candidate. Okay, now let us check who was our table. T1 was one of the table. It is in 2NF. It is also in 3NF. It is also in 3NF. Now I will say it is also in BCNF. What is the reason? The reason is T1, the FD that is present in T1 is SID PID to quantity. And who is the candidate key of T1? The candidate key of T1 is SID, PID, means composite candidate key, composite attributes are there. So SID, PID combinedly is the candidate key. Now this, so left only one FD is there, and the left hand side, the determinant is a candidate key, hence it is in BCNF. So T1 relation is already in BCNF. Okay. Next, T21 was in 3NF. So first condition of BCNF is satisfied because it is already in 3NF, and the FD that is present is CT2 status. CT is the candidate key, so this is also in BCNF. T22, the only FD that is present is SID to CT. SID is a candidate key, hence this is also in BCNF. This is also in BCNF. And now there are certain conditions. The conditions are when a relation will not be in BCNF. All these are in BCNF, we just now found. Now the question is, there are certain conditions, there are certain circumstances when the relation will probably not be in BCNF. What are those circumstances? First point is, if a relation has more than one candidate key. What I'm saying, all these circumstances are for what? A relation will probably not be in BCNF if these circumstances, these conditions are present in the table. What is the first condition? The first condition is the, what did I say? There has to be, the relation has more than one candidate key. Not only one candidate key, it can have, we already know a relation can have more than one candidate key, but a relation can have only one primary key. Now what I am saying is the relation is having more than one candidate key. This is the first condition. What is the second condition? The second condition is the candidate keys are composite in nature. The candidate keys that are present are composite in nature. And third point is the candidate keys that are present are overlapping in nature. Clear? What did I say? What I have said? I said the candidate keys are composite in nature. The candidate keys, what is the meaning of composite in nature? That suppose I have two candidate keys in our table. Each of those candidate keys are composite candidate keys. Each of those candidate keys are composite in nature. Composite means more than one attribute is used to form the candidate key. So first candidate key is also composite. The second one is also composite. Maybe the third one is there. Third one is also composite. So whatever candidate keys are present in your table, it should be composite in nature. Clear? Second. What was the second point? The second point is it should be, the candidate keys should be overlapping in nature. Overlapping means one common attribute or more than one common attribute are there among the candidate keys. So suppose if AB is one of the candidate key of the relation R and AC is the second candidate key of the relation R, then they are each one of the candidate key is composite, and the common attribute among the two candidate keys are A. So they are overlapping in nature. Clear? Okay. So whenever you will find a relation is having such conditions prevailing in the data or in the FD set, then you will understand that that means there is a probability, 90% chance, majority of the time it happens, or all the time we can say, maybe some exceptions are there sometimes. But I did not get yet any exception. So we can consider that the relation will not be in BCNF. So what we have to do, we have to convert the relation to BCNF. Okay. Till this, is it clear? I will show you an example. But before this, tell me whatever I said, is it clear or any confusion you have?
Ma'am, the overlapping ratio, ma'am.
Overlapping means suppose I have a candidate key A comma B, composite A comma B, A is an attribute, B is an attribute, A comma B. Or let me take this example. Here I have, suppose SID PID is one of the candidate keys, isn't it? Suppose I have another candidate key, SID city. It is not so, but let us assume SID PID is one of the candidate key and SID city is the second candidate key. So how many candidate keys are there? 2 candidate keys. How many, each candidate key is composite and it is overlapping because SID is the common attribute among the two candidate keys. Here, overlapping means a common attribute should be there. Mute yourself, everybody. Overlapping means a common attribute should be. It can be one common attribute or more than one common attribute can also be present in it. All of you mute yourself. Understood? Overlapping. Now let me show you an example. But before showing the example, there is another very important point regarding BCNF. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
audible? Okay.
Yes,
There is
ma'am.
another very important point regarding BCNF. Please note it down. A relation, when it is converted to BCNF, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it might happen that dependency is not preserved. So when after converting a relation to BCNF, sometimes it happens that we are unable to preserve the dependency. Anyhow, we are unable, when we could not preserve the dependency, it happens. Okay. So when a relation is converted to BCNF, lossless decomposition should happen always, but dependency preservation might not take place. So what we do, when generally dependency preservation, we see that it is not possible, then we don't convert it into BCNF. We make the table remain in CNF. We do not convert. When we see that no, we cannot preserve the dependency, we are losing the dependency, then we do not convert it to BCNF. We keep it as it is in 3NF. So in the industry, generally they practice still 3NF. BCNF is not always, we don't convert it into very higher normal forms. Like 4NF is also very rare scenario. 5NF, so they don't do 5NF. So these are 5NF and these things are very rare scenarios. I will teach you. And very practically, people don't convert the tables till 5NF or 4NF. But BCNF is all right. But if you find that you are unable to preserve the dependency, then do not convert it into BCNF. You just mention that since I am unable to preserve the dependency, so I will keep it till 3NF. Okay. Okay. Now, let me take a case. Which table I will be taking it? SID city status. Here, or in the original table also we can take. Achha, let me check it once. Suppose I have one. Okay, let me take the original table. Suppose I add an attribute in the original table, this one, okay? Instead of, it would be a longer one. If I add it 1 minute, we can also add it here. Suppose I'm adding a column here on the right side of this table, and the column is S name. Okay, what is this S name? S name is name of every supplier, but in the problem it is given. In the problem it is given that every supplier has a particular name, and every name is associated with a particular supplier. Before telling this, I will mention another very, very important point. Most probably I forgot to mention, most probably what I just now thought. Now see, whenever I was talking about FD, functional dependency, let us talk about this SID. What was the original functional dependency present in this original T table? What was the functional dependencies? It is written here. Wait. SID to city, SID to quantity, and the other one was city to state. This was the original FDs that was present. Now see, whenever I talk, so this is an FD. What is the definition of FD? I said the definition of FD is what? If I say SID determines city, what is the meaning? Can anyone tell me? What is the meaning if I say SID city? Can anybody explain me what is the meaning of SID determines city?
Ma'am, that each SID has a particular city associated with it.
So, who is dependent? City is dependent. What is the meaning of dependence?
City is dependent on SID.
SID. What is the meaning of dependence? If SID is same, tuples have SID value same, then the city has to be same. Money randomly, I cannot place the value of city. Kolkata, Mumbai, then this. I cannot do that. What I have to check? I have to check, since this city column is dependent on SID, so I have to check the SID value. And while checking, if I find that SID value is same, अगर SID value same है, then city को भी same रखना है. Okay? So if SID is same, S1, wherever I get S1, since in the very first row it is Kolkata, so wherever I get S1, I have to keep Kolkata. I cannot keep a different value. Again, if S3 is repeated, wherever S3 is present in the successive tuples, I have to keep the same value where whatever S3 was there first time when I got S3, whatever was the value of city, in the successive S3 values also I have to keep Mumbai. Mumbai was the first record was Mumbai. So everywhere, wherever S3 is the two tuples in the SID column having same value, then here also the value has to be same. Clear? So this was the dependency. Now, when I talk about such a dependency, a very important point, I missed out this one. I should have said you this earlier. This type of relationship is what is the cardinality? There is a concept called cardinality. Most probably you have already studied cardinality concepts in mathematics, isn't it? Many to one. What is the meaning of many to one relationship? Let us check whether it is many to one or one to many or one to one. What is cardinality? Can anybody tell me? You have already. Cardinality is what? Cardinality is actually relationship. Relationship means what? Relationships are, it can be 1 to 1, is one of the cardinality. Many, I will explain it, don't worry. Many to one is the second cardinality. One to many. We don't write two, okay? We write arrow. One arrow. One to one, many to one, many to one to many, one to many, and to many. Many to many. These are known as relationships, cardinality. In terms of whenever we talk about relational database, we say cardinality of relations. Now, what is the meaning of one to one? Who is one to one? When I talk about SID to city as an FP, then I will say that a particular city, a particular supply is associated with how many cities? Only one city, isn't it? A particular means if I'm talking about S1, S1 is associated with how many cities? Only one city. When it is S1, it is always Kolkata. But Kolkata, if I see from this side, Kolkata is associated with how many suppliers? It can be associated with multiple suppliers. Multiple suppliers can stay in the same city, Kolkata. So, an FD is always a many to one relationship because if I draw it, suppose this is one of the set, it should be circle, but symbols are take lots of time. So this is suppose SID, this is SID attribute, and this is city attribute. This is city attribute. This is one of the set, this is another. Here, each value of SID, like if I have S1, I have S2, I have S2, I have S3, and I have S4, this way. Now here city, I have Kolkata, I have Delhi, I have Mumbai. Oh, let me undo. So S1 is a supplier. What is the relationship among these two sets? The SID is an attribute, and the CID is another attribute, and the relationship is SID is only associated with Kolkata, isn't it? But S2 is associated with S2 is, suppose S2 also stays in Kolkata. S3 stays in Delhi, and S4 also stays in Kolkata. If I say this is the relationship among SID and city, then you will say that, ma'am, a particular supplier in SID is associated with only one value. See, only one, you check here, a value from SID is associated with only one value from city. But the other side, if you look into the other side, from the other side, so a city is associated with many suppliers. A particular city is associated with many suppliers, isn't it? So it is what type of relationship? Many to one. Which side many? The many side is which one? This side. And one is which side? City side. So this is one. So every FD has a many to one relationship. It is a very important point. Okay, every FD has a many to one relationship. A many-to-one relationship also implies one-to-one. If it is a many-to-one or one-to-many, see, many-to-one is different from one-to-many. What is the difference? If I look from this side, it is one-to-many. Okay, but from the left-hand side, if I check from the determinant side, it is many-to-one. So you can see an FP is a many-to-one relationship. A many-to-one always implies one-to-one also. That means it might happen that the person S2 doesn't stay in Kolkata, the person stays in S2 stays in Mumbai. So and let me add another city, and let the city be Durgapur, and S4 stays in Durgapur. So now, if your data set is something like this, then can you say it is many to one? No, you can say one to one. A supplier associated with only one city. A city associated with only one supplier is one. Delhi is only associated with S3. Mumbai is only associated with S2. So it is a one-to-one relationship. So you will understand that, you will be aware that if it is a many-to-one relationship, many-to-one also implies it can be one-to-one. There may be some scenarios where a supplier in a city, only one supplier stays. Clear? So if somebody asks you that is FP one-to-one, you can say it is one-to-one. Actually, it is many-to-one, but since many-to-one implies one-to-one, so it is also one-to-one. But it is not one-to-many. Clear? Now, what is many-to-many? Many-to-many relationship means what? Many-to-many means supplier S1 stays in Kolkata, supplier S1 also stays in Delhi. Suppose I'm showing many-to-many relationship. S1 also stays in Delhi, S1 also stays in Mumbai. So this type of relationship is what? Many-to-many. Any attribute value can be associated with multiple values this side, and any attribute value here can also be associated with multiple values this side. So it is a many-to-many relationship. But so this is the cardinality concept. Now we will use this cardinality concept later on when we do your diagram the next week. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is every functional dependency has a many-to-one relationship. It can also be one-to-one. Clear? Is this clear? Now, yes or no? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You understood what I tried to say. I hope everybody understood.
Yes, ma'am.
All of you have completed your lunch.
Yes, ma'am.
Lunch is
ma'am.
completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many minutes are left? I'm thinking that I should stop and then again open it. Otherwise, it suddenly gets off. Okay, let me say some few things. Suppose I add a new attribute S name. What is the problem? The problem says I've modified the problem and I've said that there's every supplier, each supplier, a particular supplier is associated with a particular name, and a particular name is associated with a particular supplier. So what is the meaning? When supplier ID is same, name has to be same. When name is same, supplier ID has to be same. So there is a dependency, a new dependency will come into there will be a new dependency, and the dependency will be the old dependencies are already there. Along with the old dependency, what was the other dependency? Ma'am, I might get disconnected
SRD city.
because it is raining heavily. Yes, it is also, the weather is also very bad here in our place. I was also thinking that if lightning takes place, I will be able to continue, but till now it is all right.
SID city.
Oh. SID city. Now we will add another FD. Can anybody tell me what FD will get added when I say that a particular supplier is associated with a particular name? Our name is associated with a particular supplier.
SID S name.
One-to-one relationship. So it is SID S name. Anything else?
S name to SID.
Very good. S name to SID. So we got new FDs since I've changed the problem, and the new FDs are SID PID to quantity, city status, city SID to city, SID to S name to SID. Both are determining each other. Why? Because if the name is same, if the name of the person is A, then wherever S1 is there, it has to be A. Okay. And S3's name is what? And wherever name is same, it has to be same. And if I write again A here, the names, the supplier ID should be S1, not something else. So our particular name is only associated with a particular SID, and a particular SID is associated with a particular name. So it is a one-to-one relationship. Okay. Now, since this is a one-to-one relationship, so both way it is valid here in this scenario. Now, when I have such FDs, so can I write that F is equal to this one? Now, can you tell me that who is the candidate key of this new set? Just think, I am ending the
SID
meeting
PID.
because 40 minutes will be over. No, just think. Yeah, SID PID. I don't know. You have to again rethink. I'm stopping it. Rejoin again. Okay. Let's start. What will be the candidate? Which one? Who will be the candidate of this question? How you will find out? Use the attribute closure method. 3 methods I have shown you, isn't it? So use those any one method and tell me who is the candidate, who are or who is the. All of you solve this. Find out the candidate of this set. apply the axioms, or you can use attribute closure method. Are you solving? All of you are trying.
Ma'am, sname to sname PID.
How many candidates decided to get in?
Two candidates.
What are the candidates?
SID PID and SNAME PID.
If I who answered?
Me.
No, I asked. I cannot see who is answering. No, because I'm sharing the screen. That's why. He means. Who answered?
I'm Abhinav.
Abhinav. Abhinav. What is this? I had it. Abhinav Kumar.
Yes, ma'am.
Abhinav Kumar, how did you get SNAME, SID, and these two candidates? It is all right.
Ma'am,
SNAME
your voice is lagging.
I'm saying now it is all right.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
saying how you are
Yes,
getting candidates as SID PID and SNAME PID. How it is perfectly all right. How do you get it? So that other students can.
Ma'am, SID PID was the candidate of previous table, ma'am. I
SID
just
PID
combined with
previous.
SNAME.
Go on. So forget about the previous table. So if I
Ma'am,
freshly.
ma'am, because there isn't any functional dependency which is determining sname. So sname has to be in a candidate key, and same is for PID. So the combination of sname and PID, when we take the closure of sname and PID, we get all the attributes. And so on. If we did for sname and SID, then we also get all attributes.
Okay. So what Abhinav did is SNAME PID, if I find out the attribute closure, SNAME PID plus if I find out plus we are getting all the attributes. Okay. When we get all the attributes, then it is a super key. When it is a super key, I divide it into its subsets. The subsets are SNAME is one of the subsets. When you find SNAME plus, you will see that SNAME is not a candidate, is not a super key because it is not getting all the attributes. Similarly, PID is another subset. PID plus will also not give you all the attributes. So SNAME PID is a minimal super key, hence it is a candidate key. Now, this is one of the methods. The other method is, instead of doing this, if I ask you that use this closure method, can you find out some new FDs? A candidate key determines all the attributes of the relation, isn't it? So here you are you have found that SID PID determines quantity. So you found how many new FDs in the previous one? What did you get? Since SID PID was determining quantity, how did SID PID determine all the attributes? SID determines city. One day you said, isn't it? SID determines city. City determines status. So I find SID determining status. I'm applying axioms. Okay? When SID determines again, SID PID determines SID. SID PID determines SID. So and SID determines status. So again, I can apply transitive rule and I can say SID PID will also determine status. Okay. Next, SID PID will also determine city. How? SID determines city, SID PID determines SID, and SID determines city. Again, transitive rule will give me SID PID to city. And then what else? Everybody I got? SID PID is SID PID status, SID PID city, SID PID quantity is already there, and SID PID to PID. So these we already got by applying axiom. So it will SID PID candidate key. Now some new FDs we will get since there is SID SNAME to SID. Can anybody tell me how I will get? Just see here, SID is determining SNAME. Okay. Now SNAME is determining SID, and SID PID is determining quantity. Just see this one. SNAME is determining SID is given, and we know SID PID is determines quantity. So from here, can I say, by applying which rule can I say that SNAME PID, therefore SNAME PID will determine quantity. From which rule can I say this? Tell me, from which? Pseudo-transitive rule. Pseudo-transitive rule. Because SNAME to SID, so SID will be replaced by SNAME, then I can apply the pseudo-transitive rule and say that SNAME PID will determine quantity. Similarly, you will find that the other place, like here we have already got SID PID status. So we can write SNAME determines SID, SID PID determines status. So we can write SNAME PID also determines status. Again, SID PID determines city. So here we can write SNAME determines SID, SID PID determines city. So we can write SNAME PID determines city. So you will ultimately get all the attributes will be determined by SNAME PID combining. Hence, we will come to a conclusion that SNAME PID is one of the candidate key and SID PID is the second candidate key. So two candidates are there. The first one is SID PID. The second one is SNAME PID. SNAME PID. Okay. So here, this is a scenario where we are getting, I was explaining this because in order to explain why the relation is. Now see, not why, when in which scenario the relation would be similar. Here I have two candidate keys, more than one candidate key. The candidate keys are composite in nature and the candidate keys are overlapping in nature. PID is the common. Clear? So now when you break the relation into different forms, you will ultimately see that you will not get here. Ultimately, in the original, in the previous table, we saw that the ultimate breakdown was the relation was in scalar. But now, when you break down your table, you will find this. Okay. So, in order to convert it into scalar, what we have to do? Such a dependency, we have to. Let me do one thing. Let me add SNAME here. Insert. Let me add SNAME here. Suppose this is a fresh table and I'm adding SNAME here. Okay. Okay, it's there is why I'm adding it here because I want to show you another important point. Suppose if I add S name here and if I add the data, suppose the data is S1 A, B, C, whatever. So here, what are the FDs that if I get something like this, SID is the I should have a composite one. I want a composite one. Where I will get a composite one? If I add it here, let me check. Suppose if I add this name here in this broken table, am I getting a composite attribute? Yes, SID PID was the candidate. Okay. Yes. Now tell me, suppose I have data. I have A as one of the name, S1 again, so A will be the name, S3's name is B, S1's name will again be A, S1 will be A, S1 will be A, S5's name is C, and S6 name is C. If this is your data set, and the FDs to this particular relation is what? This is the simple FD that was present in T1. And now I have added 2 more FDs. The 2 more FDs are SID determines S name and S name determines SID. Okay. If this is the scenario, suppose forget about the original decomposition, forget about those. This is a fresh table. I have these FDs, and now tell me who is the candidate key of this table. Who is the candidate key of this? These are the
SID.
FDs. SID?
PID.
Anything else? I will also give S name PID.
No, ma'am.
Why?
Because S name is repeating. Ma'am.
S name
No,
is
nothing.
repeating.
Ma'am.
What nothing? I will get both.
Nothing.
I will get both, isn't it? SID PID, when you do class, attribute class, you will get all the attributes. And when you do S name PID class, you will get all the attributes. Isn't it? So both are minimal, so both are the candidate keys. Everybody is getting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
now the question is, in which normal, so this is a candidate key and SID S name is another candidate key. In which normal form the relation is in? This is CK1, candidate P1, and this is again CK2. In which normal form this relation is in? It is in 1NF? Is it in 2NF?
Yes, ma'am.
It is in 2NF. Why it is in 2NF? Who are the key attributes and who are the non-key attributes? Non-key attribute is only quantity, and key attribute is all these. SID is one of the key attributes. PID is the second key attribute. Quantity is the third key attribute, and S name is the fourth key attribute. Now tell me, is the relation in 2NF or not? Let me ask you.
Ma'am, quantity is key attribute.
Quantity is key attribute. Why? Quantity hasn't taken part in formation of a candidate key. Who is a key attribute? Key attribute is an attribute which takes part in the formation of candidate key. did quantity has not taken place in this formation, isn't it? Because SID PID has formed the candidate key and SNAME PID is the second candidate key. So where is quantity? Quantity is not a part of the candidate key. So it is non-key attributes. And key attributes are SID individually, PID individually, SNAME individually, PID individually. So these are the Oh, you were saying this? Sorry, very sorry. So SID, PID, and SNAME are the key attributes. Okay. Now tell me whether it is in QNF or not.
No, ma'am.
It is not in QNF. Why?
Ma'am, because
No, I don't
quantity
know.
is partially.
Huh?
Some quantity
Because?
is partially dependent on candidate key 2.
Quantity is partially dependent on candidate key 2. How?
From PID.
From where you get quantity dependent on the candidate key? Here, what are the FDs we have? We have these FDs. And even if I
Ma'am,
apply,
relation.
let me check one by one. SID, PID to quantity is the first FD. Okay. In the first FD, who is on the right hand side? A non-key attribute. Who is on the left hand side? A candidate key. Is it a partial dependency?
No.
QNF says no non-key attribute should partially depend on the candidate key. So partially depend on the candidate key means what? The non-key attribute should not depend on a part of the candidate key. Is it a part of the candidate key or the full candidate key? It is the full candidate key. So it is an FFD. It is an FFD, so it is not creating a problem in QNF. Let me come to the next one. SNAME, SID. SID is a part of the candidate key. And the second one, SNAME is a part of the candidate key. So is it a partial dependency?
No, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, because the right hand side does not have any non-key attribute.
Very good. Very good. Who answered?
Ayush, ma'am.
Very good. Because 2NF, although we are seeing that left hand side, the determinant is a part of the candidate key, a key attribute that is a part of the candidate key, still, since the right hand side is not a non-key attribute and 2NF is worried about any relationship where right hand side is the non-key and left hand side is a part of the candidate key, then such FD is PFD, but it is not validating the QNF condition. But here in this scenario, left hand side is a key attribute, right hand side is also a key attribute. QNF doesn't say anything about key relationship. Okay, since there is not non-key attributes on the right hand side, so these are not considered partial dependencies in QNF, and the relation is in QNF. So the relation is in QNF. Now, the next question, is the relation in 3NF? Is the relation in 3NF?
No, ma'am.
No. Why?
Ma'am, because SID to SID to SNAME functional dependency, SID is not any key. And similarly for SNAME to SID
SID
is
is a
also
key
not a
attribute.
key.
SID is a key attribute. SNAME is a key attribute. What does 3NF say? What did I say? Blindly, if there is a non-key relationship in your FD set, then you will say that obviously there will be a non-key attribute transitively dependent on the candidate key. In this scenario, no non-key relationship is present in your table. So blindly you can say that since there is no non-key relationship, so the problem that 3NF doesn't want, or the problem, what was the problem? A non-key dependent transitively on the candidate key. That problem will not arise. Since that problem will not arise, so the relationship is also in 3NF. Clear? No non-key, this is not a non-key, there is no non-key relationship, isn't it? Like in the last table, we had city status, city determining status. City was a non-key attribute, status was also a non-key attribute. So there was a non-key relationship. In this scenario, there is no non-key relationship because this is a fully functional dependent. SID to SNAME both are key attributes. SNAME to SID both are key attributes. Hence, the relation is also in KNF. Okay. Next, is the relation in BCNF? Are you there? Students are there or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the relation in BCNF? What does BCNF say? Ritika? What does BCNF say or want? Ritika, are you there? Ritika is not there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's network. 1 second.
Can I say?
Uh-huh.
Ma'am, it is not in BCNF because the candidate keys are overlapping.
Very good. It is not in BCNF because the what did you say? Because the candidate keys are over. That's when you will explain why it is not in BCNF, you will not give this answer. This is all right. The candidate keys are overlapping. So you have an intuition. Oh, that means it won't be in BCNF. But the reason why it is not in BCNF, you will not answer in that manner. You will answer the definition of BCNF is violating.
Ma'am.
Why
Yes, ma'am. It's
it is not?
violating.
Why it is violating the definition of BCNF?
Ma'am, it must be in 3NF.
It is in 3NF. First condition is true. And what is the
ma'am,
just now I said
and
the
if
second
yes, ma'am, and it must be functional dependency.
it must be functional dependency. What is the meaning of this word, this line?
Ma'am, the LHS of a FD needs to be a candidate key or a super key.
Candidate key, not a super.
Sorry, ma'am.
Every candidate key is a super key. Very good. Who answered?
Ma'am,
Onu
Sneha
Mitra.
Chatterjee.
No, Sneha Chatterjee. Yes. So, what did Sneha say? Sneha said that the left-hand side, that is the determinant of every FD present in your set, should be a candidate. Let me see one by one. Let us take the first FD. In the first FD, what is the left-hand side? Is it a candidate key? Yes, it is a candidate key. SID PID is a candidate key, isn't it? So, this is all right. Now, let me come to the second one. Second one, left-hand side, the determinant, is it a candidate key? No, it is not a candidate key. The third one, left-hand side, the determinant, is it a candidate key? No, it is not a candidate key. It is a key attribute, but it is not a candidate. Clear? So BCNF definition is getting violated. The FDs that are present, BCNF says the only determinant in every FD, the determinant must be a candidate. But here we are saying there are certain FDs where the determinant is not the full candidate. Okay. So although it was in TNF, it is not TTS. Now the question is, you can also see, I just gave you the hints that you won't be missing. What is the hint? Since there are two candidate keys in this table, there are candidate keys are overlapping in nature and the candidate keys were composite in nature. So it is not. But when you will explain, you will say those things along with the definition is getting violated. Both the things should be mentioned. Clear? Now, what we have to do in order to convert it into BCNF, who is creating a problem? This relationship, SID to SNAME, SNAME to SID. This particular relationship is creating a problem, is violating, is making the definition violated, get violated. Now, so what we have to do, we have to remove such dependencies. Okay? How will we remove such dependencies? What will be the table? Can anybody tell me what will be the decomposed? What was the table? The table was which table? T1. No. Yes. What was the table? The table had how many attributes? The table had SID as one of the attributes. PID is the second attribute. City was the third. No, quantity was the. I have just drawn the table. Let me tell you. Leave it. So what are the attributes? The attributes where yes, here. So the attributes were in the T1 table that we were working with SID, PID, quantity, and SNAME. These were the 4 attributes. Okay. Now what we have to do? We have to try to preserve dependency and we have to convert it into these tables. So what will be the table, decomposed table? Can anybody tell me? Let the decomposed table be TTT1 and the other one be TTT2. Okay. TTT1, what will be the attributes? Can I keep SID, PID, and quantity as it is? And can I shift in the other table? Can I write SID, comma, SNAME? If I do so, then who is the candidate? Who is the common attribute among these two? Achha, now before that, tell me, if I decompose in this manner, who is the dependency in the first table, TTT1? What is the dependency present in the first table? SID, comma, PID, combinedly determining whom? Quantity. This is the FD that is preserved quantity. Any other FD I will not get, isn't it here? And in T2, what are the FDs we will get?
SID
SID,
to SNAME.
SNAME, and SNAME to SID. Who is the candidate key? Who is the candidate key? SID is also the candidate key, SNAME is also the candidate key. Okay? Because SNAME is determining all the attributes and SID is also determining all the attributes of the TTT2 relationship. So, the common attributes among the two tables. So, dependency. Now, who is the common attribute among the two tables? The common attribute is SID. Now, SID is a candidate key of TTT2. So, I can say that the decomposition is lossless. And what about dependency preservation? Am I preserving all the dependencies? Yes, I am preserving all the three dependencies. Okay. So in this scenario, I have converted to BCNF. I have converted to BCNF, and the dependency is also preserved. Now the question is TTT1 in BCNF has been converted to BCNF? You have to check it. Can anybody tell me is TTT1 in BCNF? Is it in BCNF? Did it get converted to BCNF?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Why?
The only determinant is the candidate key.
Candidate key decided here. And here the second table TTT2. Who is the candidate key? SID is a candidate key. SNAME is also another candidate. So two FDs are there, and in both the FDs, determinant is a candidate. So it is also independent. Here, okay. Now another question was there. Acha, I have filled up the table. Where did it go? I don't know. Acha, okay. Now, I hope you all understood BCNF concept. Any doubt? Tell me whether you have. Then I will tell you another concept, and we'll shift to there. We'll shift to SQL. Fast. Tell me fast. Very short time is there. Do you have any doubt? Anywhere? Any doubt? Yes or no? You are not going through the topics. If you don't go through the topics, then you won't have any doubt. Either you did not understand anything or you understood. Anyway, I have to proceed. So another concept is here linked to this. There is I had left this. Deliberately I had left it. Today I will stay you. It will take only 2 minutes. We have already studied about F, isn't it? What is this F? Set of FDs. F is the set of given set of FDs. Suppose I have given you A determines B, B, C, no, AB determines B, okay? Then I have B determines C, then I have A determines C, then I have A determines B. Suppose these FDs are given to you. So F is equal to this one means set of the given set of FDs belonging to which relation? Belonging to a relation R, where what are the attributes of R? A, B, C, D. These are the attributes of the relation R, A, B, C, D. Now, F is this. If I say you that find out F plus, what is the meaning? We already know. If I find out F plus, what is the meaning? F plus denotes the closure of F. Closure of F means all possible functional dependencies I will derive from this set by applying the axioms, and I will get an exhaustive set of FDs possible in the relation. That gives the closure of F. Along with this concept, we have another concept called canonical cover of F. Canonical cover of F. What is this canonical cover of F? Canonical cover of F is also known as irreducible set. in some books. Irreducible set. Canonical cover of F is also known as irreducible set. It is the meaning is, don't write here, just for explanation I'm saying, the meaning you can is minimum possible F is minimum or non-redundant. Minimum, don't write it, minimum or non-redundant set of F's. Non-redundant set of F is canonical cover, and closure is actually the maximum or all possible F's. Canonical cover is the opposite. What is that? The minimum FD that should be present, that we can generate from F. Now, there are certain rules to find out the canonical cover of F. Canonical cover of F, the rules are, first rule is, all right, I will not write. First rule is right hand side singleton or single attribute. Right hand side of the FD should have single attribute. Again, it will be off because what we need to do. Let us stop. Okay, everybody has joined, I hope. What I was saying, in order to find out the canonical cover, there are certain points, conditions. First condition is RHS should be singleton. Second point is left hand side is single. The last point is no redundant. So these 3 points, if we satisfy these 3 points in any F, then we will say that F, that set of FP is a minimum set or irreducible set. I cannot use it, but now, what is the meaning of right hand side set? Let me take this example. In this example, let me lines. 8 lines.
Ma'am, your voice is lagging.
Now can you hear? A determines BC. Am I audible properly?
Yes, ma'am.
It is slow. Like, you are listening, it is low voice. Low voice of
It's
No, ma'am.
cracking.
Your voice.
Cracking
Ma'am,
a lot.
sometimes it feels
Ma'am,
like you are
voice is
speaking
lagging.
far away from mic.
from mic.
Yes, ma'am. Like, ma'am,
Not
the
just
volume
far
is
away,
changing,
It
ma'am.
cracks a lot.
Or maybe I am becoming tired and speaking slowly.
Ma'am, the volume keeps
We can-
changing, ma'am.
Achha. Now see, Maybe because sometimes I speak very loudly and sometimes I become tired and I start speaking slowly. In class, we do all these things, isn't it? But there are lots of constraints and it is very difficult to teach. I know at this time I'm not teaching videos nicely because so many constraints. I have code in my hand.
Ma'am, you are not
It is,
understandable, ma'am.
Ma'am, there is no issue in the volume of your voice, ma'am, but it lags a lot. Like it just
Network issue.
vanishes out from the audio.
vanishes
Sir,
out.
we can't understand you.
Ma'am, like a lot in a single statement, it lags a
Hmm.
lot.
Oh, when I'm saying you all are not
Yeah.
listening,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
then you won't be able to understand what I'm saying.
And whatever you have said in the in the previous, what you have changed in the functional dependency in the last, we didn't get anything. Especially me.
Huh?
But ma'am, what you have changes you have done in the
Ma'am,
F.
last 2-3 minutes. Last two
Yes,
three
ma'am.
minutes.
Last 2 minutes, so when I added S name in the table, when I
No,
was
ma'am,
teaching
no.
you BCM,
Ma'am, no. This canonical
now
cover of
when
F.
I'm teaching
Yes, ma'am.
canonical cover,
Yes,
other
ma'am.
parts
Yes,
were understood, the BCMA part, when I
yeah.
was showing you S name.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
that is
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, whenever it lags or whatever is the problem, stop me there. Okay? Because I go on speaking and I think that you're not getting.
still
Now,
it is like.
what
Ma'am,
was
still
this
it is
canonical
lagging.
cover? Still it is lagging, maybe internet issue or what? I don't know.
After
Right.
rejoining the call. No, not an internet issue, cause your video is quite clear.
Then
मैम इट इज अ इंटरनेट इशू मैम. मैम वीडियो तो मैम बहुत कम FPS पे चल रहा है. मैम 1-2 FPS पे चल रहा है.
Problem in the device.
ठीक है कुछ भी हो लेकिन I don't have any control. अच्छा now
I have
listen. Now listen. What is this here? What I'm trying to say is F is a given set of FDs and these are the given set of FDs. These FDs are given. These FDs belong to who? It belongs to a relation R whose number of attributes are A, B, C and D. These are the attributes and the name of the relation is R and these are the set of FDs and the set is denoted by the letter F. Okay? And all of us know that F plus is the closure of F, that is the maximum possible FDs that can be present, that can be created from the set F. Canonical cover is also known as irreducible set. Canonical cover is also known as irreducible set. That is, we can compare it, we can say, we can understand that it is actually the minimum number of FDs, minimum combination of FDs that should be present in the set, that can be present in the set. And it is obviously non-redundant set of FDs. No redundant FDs we are going to keep in the set. We will try to remove the redundancy in the set of FDs. Now, there are certain conditions to find out the canonical cover which should be satisfied. If I say that F is the canonical cover, is the minimum possible set or is the irreducible set, then that F should satisfy these three conditions. The first condition is right hand side should be singly done. That means there should not be any combination attribute in the right hand side. Every right hand side attribute set should be a single, it should not be a set of attributes, it should be a single attribute. Left hand side irreducible. Now let me complete the right hand side first. So let us check the FDs. Now A to B is all right. Right hand side is one attribute. A B to C. B right hand side is one attribute. B to C is all right. A to C is all right. A to C. So what I have to do? I have to break A to B C to two FDs. And what are the two FDs? By applying decomposition rule, I get A to B and A to C. What is there in the chat box? Again, voice is breaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me reconnect once. Okay. Again, reconnecting means I have to Oh, let me reconnect from here. Yes. Now just check whether it is there any problem
Clear.
or not?
Clear, ma'am.
So what I was saying, again I have to repeat. Wait, what is there in the chat box? Clear, okay. Now again I will repeat. Let me just repeat it once. F is the set of FDs. F plus we already know how to find out, and canonical cover is what? Irreducible set means the non-redundant set of F. So we have to prepare the canonical cover for F. In order to prepare the canonical cover for F, we have to follow these three conditions. What is the first condition? Right hand side signature. Means here if I check the FDs one by one, I find all the FDs are satisfying right hand side single attribute, but only the last one. So what I will do is I will decompose the last FD into two by using decomposition rule. So A to B C will be decomposed into A to B and A to C. Hence, after decomposing, I get a new set of FDs, and the new set of FDs are these, where A to B and I will get A to C. Okay, this was your F. Now your F has changed. Your F has this one. Next, what is the so rule 1 is satisfied by all the FDs present in F. Right, left hand side irreducible. What is the meaning of left hand side irreducible? Left hand side irreducible means you will go and check the left hand side of each and every FD. Wherever there is a combination attribute, I will try to reduce the number of attributes present in that combination. How I will try to reduce the number of attributes? For example, here, AB to D. This is where left hand side has a composite attribute. They combinedly is determining D. So I will try to check whether I can remove B or A. So here, when can there is a there is a concept that when can I remove this B or A, any one attribute, reduce one attribute from this combination, if I can only reduce or remove the attribute from the combination only if there is a relationship between these two attributes. Which two attributes? AB is the combination, and if there is a relationship among AB, then I can remove. For example, here there is a relationship. What is the relationship? A is determining B. So AB has a relationship. There is an FD where A is determining B. So I can blindly remove B from the set. So what I will do, my new set will be not AB to B, it will be A to B. I will remove B from the set. Okay. Now there is a logic behind why you can do such things, but today I don't have time. Any other day I will tell you what is the reason. Now, so we have removed it. So left hand side now, see, everybody is okay. Now suppose there was a FP for D, E to T. Suppose I have such an FP D to T. Now you will ask me that, ma'am, can I, according to the second rule, can I remove E from here? Can I remove D? Can I reduce this? I will say no. You cannot reduce whatever is there, DE to T. It is itself left hand side is irreducible. You cannot reduce it further. Why you cannot reduce it? Because there is no relationship between D to T. If there was a relationship between E to T, then I could have blindly removed one attribute. Otherwise, not. Otherwise, I will keep it as it is. I will say that it is irreducible. Don't think that we always have to remove it. Always a single attribute means it is irreducible, left-hand side irreducible. No. Even if there are combination attributes, it might happen that I will say this is the minimum possible combination. It cannot be reduced further. Why it cannot be reduced further? Because if there is no relationship among the two attributes, then I will not reduce it further. I will keep it as it is. Okay. Now, no redundant FD. The third point, no redundant FD means, like here, see, A to C is twice. Not only that, I will again come to that later. Here, if you check here, A to B is there, B to C is there, isn't it? Now, when A to B is there, B to C is there, then by applying transitive rule, can I get A to C? Can I get A to C?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I can get A to C. So, since I can get that A to C FD by keeping only these two FDs, so I will move A to C. But before removing, twice it was present. So, by the third rule, first of all, I am not going to keep any FD twice. So, I will remove one of the FD. Then again, I check that A to C is can be obtained by applying axioms. So unnecessarily, I will not keep A to C in my set. I will only keep A to B and B to C. If I keep A to B and B to C later on, when I apply the axioms, I can get back A to C. I'm not losing. If I move A to C from the set, I'm not losing it actually. Because why I'm not losing? Because ultimately, when I apply axioms and prepare my F plus set, I will get it back. So I'm not losing it actually. Hence, I will remove it from the set of FDs. Okay? I will unnecessarily, that is the redundancy. I will not keep A to C. That was redundant. Here, now A to B is again twice present. I will remove A to B. Now, who is your set? Can I remove anything else? Anything else which I will get back by applying steps? Unnecessarily, I think no. Everything I have to do. Because if I remove A to B, suppose, can I get A to B anywhere? If I only keep A to B and A to C, can I get A to D by applying axioms? Never, isn't it? If A to B and if I remove this one, suppose I thought that no, ma'am, it is a redundant one, I will remove it. If I remove this one, then I will permanently lose that FD because only A to B, B to C will not give me by applying whatever axiom to apply, you will never get back A to B. So I am not going to lose any FD. Redundant minimum or canonical cover doesn't allow you to lose the FD. It only says redundantly I will not keep it. If I can get it back by applying axioms later on, I will not keep it here. Okay? So, A to D is not removed. So, this is the minimum possible FD. This is the canonical cover of F. Now, another concept is there. In this canonical cover of F, it says that the origin, suppose this is F1. After converting, this is F canon. Something like this. Now, after converting F to F canonical, the irreducible set, you might say that ma'am, F plus will it change? F plus is what? All possible FDs, the maximum? I will say no. F, whatever F, after finding out the closure, whatever F plus I get, whatever values, whatever FDs I get in F plus, in the canonical cover, F canon, whatever, after applying axioms in F canon also, if I find out F canon plus, see this notation I only took for you to understand, don't take, this is not a formal one. So F canonical cover, F canon, if that set's name is F canon, then if I find out the plus, that is the closure of F canon, I will get the same values. So F plus and F canon plus will be same. F plus and is equal to or equivalent to F canon plus. Understood? Understood what I tried to say? F was this set of FDs and F canon is the non-redundant form of this set of FDs. Both F, when I find F plus and when I find F canon plus, both will be same. Both will give you the same set of FDs. I cannot lose anything, I cannot gain anything. Clear? Now, this concept is clear, what I said? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
When we will solve problems, next day we will solve problems, it will become much more clear. Okay. Now, another thing is, there's a question which I did not answer here, which I did not explain you here. The question is, did I lose that FD, that AB to D? You have to answer. Did I lose this FD? Did I lose this? Yes, did I lose this FD? What I'm saying. Yes, this one, AB to D. Have I lost it? This is a question to you. Another question is, have I gained a new FD? See, I cannot gain also. Another, suddenly in the F canon, I gained a new FD which is not present in any F plus, then also it is not true. So, did I gain? Is this A to B a very new FD? I have gained it. Or will I get it? So, I will say it is, let me answer this one. It is, I'm not getting a new FD. Why? Because in the F plus, when you apply pseudo-transitive rule, A to B, AB to D. If I apply pseudo-transitive rule, instead of B, can I put A? I can put, so I'm getting A to D. What is the meaning of A to D? The meaning of A to D is A to D. So, in the F plus, A to D will be there by applying pseudo-transitive rule. Hence, A to D in the canonical cover is not any new FD. It is money. In the F plus, it is there. So, it is not a gain of FD. And what about, did I lose AB to D FD? No, I did not lose it. Why I did not lose it? Because if I apply augmentation rule to A to D, I can augment B to both sides. When I augment B to both sides, I get AB to DB. AB to DB, if I decompose now, I get AB to D, AB to B. So AB to D is not lost. When you will apply augmentation rule and decompose, you will get back this AB to D functional dependencies. Okay?
But ma'am,
Last point.
AB.
Hmm?
Ma'am, but
AB?
we will also get AB to B now.
AB to B to is there. See, in the F plus, AB to B is a trivial case. If B is a determinant here,
Yes,
AB
yes.
will always determine its subsets.
Yes, ma'am.
Acha. Now, the last point is, see, today also I did not have time to teach you SQL because theory class it is not possible. So many things I have to say. I don't know how to. Maybe I will take some extra classes. Acha, what I was saying, last point is, suppose if I give you a set of FDs, F1. F1 is a given set of FDs. Some FDs are given. I'm not mentioning the FDs. And I have another set. I'm giving another set. Another set is this one. Okay. Then I have said, is F1 equivalent to F2? What is the meaning of this? I have asked you a question. What is the question? F1 is a set of FDs. F2 is a set of FDs. Is F1 equivalent to F2? Is F1 equivalent to F2? This is the question. What do we do in that case? You will find the answer. How you will find the answer? You will find out And there are two ways. Okay, either you find out the canonical cover of F1. You also find the canonical cover of F2. Canonical cover of F2. If both are same, then the two FDs are same. Second point is more formal point is, if you will answer that if F1 plus is equal to F2 plus, then we will say that F1 is equivalent to F2. This is the formal definition. When I say F1 is equivalent to F2, if F1 plus, that means the closure of F1 is equal to the closure of F2, then we will say the two set of FDs are same. Clear? But the method of finding is, you try to find out the canonical cover. It is the best method. Try to find out the canonical cover, the irreducible, the minimum possible set. Do that for this one also, and you can find they are equal. If you find they are equal, then obviously they are equivalent to each other. Next, when can I say that F1 covers F2? What is F1? F1 is a given set of FDs. F2 is another set of FDs. Maybe in that same relation, maybe. So when I will say F1 covers F2, I will say F1 covers F2 when when F2 plus is a subset of F1 plus. What is the meaning? The meaning is, you will find out F2 plus, that means the closure of F2, and you will also find the closure of F1. If the closure of F2 is a subset of the closure of F1, that means F1 is larger and F2 is a subset of that F1 plus, F2 plus is a subset of that F1 plus, then I will say F1 is covering F2. Clear? And vice versa is true. If I say F2 covers F1, then what I will say, F1 plus is a subset of F2 plus. Okay. And when both covers each other, then they are equivalent. When both covers each other, then they are equivalent. So these are certain concepts. I won't be able to teach anymore because I'm tired also, and class is over, and those topics are big. SQL, I won't be able to cover now. Let's see tomorrow whether I'm able to. Okay, all of you write your roll numbers in the chat box. Students, you're understanding? Because see, I'm trying my level best to make you understand, but I don't know, because it is a virtual, I cannot see you, there is no eye contact, so I'm not able to understand whether you're getting or not. It is also not there, so certain constraints are removed.
Ma'am, till what topic our syllabus will be for class test?
When is your class test?
Ma'am, from 19.
19?
Yes, ma'am.
19 means, again, next week we have, isn't it?
Yes,
we will
ma'am.
get time. 19th means next to next week.
Next.
So whatever I teach till next week, those things will be coming.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. So everybody has given 46. Yes. So I'm ending I'll stop sharing. I'm ending the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Go through whatever I taught today, because tomorrow what we will do is, first of all, I will solve, you will solve certain problems related to this normalization. Like I will ask you to convert to hire forms. I will ask you to find out the closure. I will ask you to find out candidate keys. So all these things you should come prepared, and so that we can solve the problems tomorrow. After, if you could solve it very quickly, then you can shift to SQL. Okay. So every day I have I always think that maybe I will be able to shift to SQL, but I am unable to do. I can do one thing. I can give you the assignment. The assignment, last year's lab assignment, I can give you and I can mark you, because one day I taught you SQL, isn't it? Theoretically, I told you all those DDL statements, TML statements, isn't it? So since whatever I said, I will give you the assignment and I will mark which assignments to be solved, which you will be able to solve. You will solve in your machines, and then you will send me back. Okay. So let me check whether I can do it tomorrow. Otherwise, I will send you the assignment. Okay. Thank you.